there are people in the vampire community who ingest blood because they feel like they need it. They feel stronger and more alert and more powerful if they have human blood.
Have you taken a part of that?
I have drunk human blood, yes.
Can you talk about it? Vampires. This has become a very, I guess, trending topic as of lately, especially for us. I need to know who, what, where, how you got into this vampire cult.
Yeah. The internet is a bad place. No one should use it.
I mean, it's too late, but...
It's the short version. We're all here now, though.
Yep.
So I joined the vampire cult kind of by mistake, again. Well...
You're doing a lot of things by mistake.
Witchcraft does wonderful things in your life, and it steers the ship in many uncanny directions. But yeah, I joined this group when I was, I want to say 16. It was like the year before I graduated high school.
This was prior to you moving to New Orleans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had been a fan of Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles for quite a while before that. I think I had watched the movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, and I had read some of the books. And Anne Rice is a wonderful author. Highly recommend if no one has read her stuff, but probably they have if they're watching this, or they've seen the movies. There's a new AMC TV show now, which is wildly successful. And there's something about the way that she writes her characters and her world. She's got a particularly vibrant prose style, and it really draws you in. And I was like a sad, nerdy, chronically online child, in 2002, 2003. And living in suburban Australia, which if you have been to suburban Australia, it's not a really interesting or fun place. It's pretty boring. I know everyone's like, Australia sounds cool. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard spiders and snakes, and
that's a real thing.
I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I'll stay where I'm at.
Yeah. So I'm really into these books. She writes them in such a way that it makes it seem like they are real. It's kind of a bit in the books, because the first book is written as an interview between a human journalist and a immortal vampire.
Okay.
And the first book is published as a transcript of that interview. So she's writing these books. Obviously, everyone knows that they're written by Anne Rice. But in the world of the novels, it's no, Anne Rice is a weird smokescreen. And really, it's all real. So it's kind of baked in to the concept.
So there's some room, I guess, for nonfiction.
Yeah.
In a sense, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's kind of playing with that audience perception. Are you reading a fiction novel, or are you reading something that might be somewhere between fact and fiction? And obviously, as many 13, 14-year-olds are, I was really into that idea. I was like, fucking vampires are real? Hell yeah. They were all hot and cool. Hot and cool, both at the same time. And,
yeah.
Young and immortal and all really rich and no one ever, well, they do, but it's very uncommon to read vampire fiction about a schlubby, middle-aged, homeless vampire. Yeah, they're all hot European counts and shit. So, I'm reading this, I'm eating it up. I'm living in the boring Australian suburbs. I had not the greatest home life. So I was sign me up for this nonsense. And many young people, I was also feeling out of place. We all go through that as teens where we're no one understands me.
Yeah.
I'm so alone.
Yeah.
And so I'm Googling vampires real. Real vampires? Vampires real Australia. Vampires real New Orleans. And just trying to find, much as I had with witchcraft, any material that anyone had written about supernatural creatures being real. And I come across a bunch of stuff. This was like the old internet, the Y2K internet. So it's the Wild West out there.
No laptops yet.
No, everybody's got their like GeoCities website with their flaming torch gifs, and the melting text. It's a better time, to be honest. And I find a bunch of stuff. I find communities of people who are for real blood drinkers, like sanguinarian vampires. I find material on these websites talking about how to know if you're an awakened vampire. Are you being awakened? Do you have a vampire soul but a human body? All of this shit is extremely appealing to teenage me because I'm like, I want to be a fucking boring human being. And also I feel like shit all the time. Like, give me something cool to like cling on to.
Okay.
So I'm like off there being like, am I awakening as a vampire? Like, I don't know. I do have anemia. Like, maybe that's why. I had many questions.
Okay.
So in the process of all this, I find this website. And the website is claiming to be run by Anne Rice's vampires. It's like a forum like we used to have in the day, like a message board. Mm-hmm. And all the moderators on the message board are Anne Rice's vampires. You got Lestat, you've got Armand, you've got Marius and Louis, and they're all like on there.
These are the characters from the book.
That's right.
Is there any room for where you guys think that these characters are real? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, gotcha. Yeah. So, but I will say that even as a teenager, like I was pretty stupid. Let's be real. All right. Because we can be. I can look back with the experience of old age and be like, "You're a dummy for real."
I won't even say stupid. Gullible.
Gullible, and also like whimsical.
Yeah. Okay.
Whimsically gullible. Wallable. I don't know. So there was part of me even then that was like, this is probably just like role play, right? Like there's a lot of people on the internet, especially in fandom communities, writing stories as characters. Role play was a huge thing. I had already been deep in the weeds with that in the Harry Potter fandom. I knew what was going on. So I was like, okay, that's probably what's happening here. And so when I joined, I was curious because other people had told me, no, this place is legit. This is really for real vampires. But I was just skeptical.
Other people in the cult?
Other people who I had met elsewhere, but who had told me about the cult, right? They had been
in person told you this?
No, other places on the internet.
Okay. All right. So
that's the first problem, probably.
Got you.
So I'd met these other people on other vampire forums, and they had said, "Oh, you're looking for the good shit? Come over here to the cult." And they had said, it looks like it's just role play, but it's not just role play. They're the real deal.
Cover up.
Yeah, they're like, it's all, it's cloak and dagger, right? So I go over there. I'm skeptical, but I'm like, let's just see what this is about. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that when you talk to people online almost every day for almost a decade, and they don't really waver from their story, eventually you get into a weird emotional place with it where you're like, well, this person has not dropped their story for like 5-10 years. And we're supposed to be friends, and we're supposed to have like, a relationship of sorts, a connection. Like maybe I'm an asshole if I don't believe them, right? But the thing that really early on started to make me wonder what was going on there is that I was one of the younger people on this forum. I think I was about 16 when I joined. There were people as young as like 13, 14. But then there were members who were up into their 60s on there. And some of these older people who were older than my mom, were telling me in private messages, in conversation, oh no, like they're really vampires. And we know because we've like seen it with our own eyes. Like these normal human people, this normal human grandmother, we're going to call her by his screen name, which was Dolce. This woman has now passed. She passed away last year, I found out, which was weird. In her 60s, and she's telling everybody, no, I've met Lestat and Louis in real life. And they proved to me that they were vampires. And people had met this woman in real life. I never met her, but other people had had coffee with her. They'd met her in New York City. They'd gone to the Met and sat on the bar balcony with her.
You're talking about this 60-year-old lady.
This 60-year-old lady. And she had
or
told...
Dulce.
She had told them, like, face to face, like we're talking now, no, it's all real. Like, you have to believe that this is real. Like, Louis has come to me and played the piano in my house, and like I've seen them do supernatural things, and it's really all true. And over time, as I started hearing more stories like this from like regular human members who were definitely not secretly also the vampires, but like the more stories I heard, and the more much older and more experienced people than me were like telling me like, no, it's all legit.
Yeah.
I started to entertain the possibility, in part because isn't it just more interesting? Like, isn't it just more fun? And at the time, I didn't see that there was like a risk, and I didn't see that there was a darkness there. I just really wanted there to be something magic in the world.
Right.
And I really wanted it to be real, because if it was real, then maybe my shitty life that I hated would suck a little bit less or suck a little bit more. Hey.
Yeah. I mean, depending on how you look at it. I'm still a little... This shit is crazy.
It's crazy. It gets so fucking crazy.
Like, even pause the vampire for a second. You're a teenager talking to a 60-year-old person online.
Yeah.
Which is already dangerous as it is.
It's not great, is it? No.
Like, looking back on it,
yeah,
you clearly weren't doing the right thing.
She wasn't doing all right. What was she doing? Like, I think
True.
about it now, and because I'm like 39.
Yeah.
And I think about, would I even have like a purposeful ongoing conversation with like a 16-year-old on the internet? No. Like, I would leave a 16-year-old an encouraging comment and be like, stay in school, right, Becky. I wouldn't be like, I've met vampires, actually.
Yeah. And
they're talking to you right now. And they're coming in your window at night, sucking your blood. Like, no, that's psycho.
You kind of building a case for yourself.
Yeah, I'm saying.
I want no parts of that.
No. And so I think about that a lot. I think about, like, what were these women doing? Like, they were all the people in charge. I have since found out that particular lady was the oldest, but they were all in their late 40s to their mid 60s, talking to people who were either in their teens or young adults, and manipulating them for, decades, which is pretty bonkers.
Mm-hmm. So then you hadn't moved to New Orleans yet?
No, not yet.
But you do move to New Orleans in search for vampires? Or how did this work?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm in the cult, and my enmeshment, I guess, with the cult was getting sort of greater and greater. Like, there was a big part of my life where that was like all I did, Askia. Like, I'm on this fucking internet forum like 12 hours a day. I'm logging time and hours in the chat room.
Like, you just talking to people?
Yeah. And I have a lot of the material still from back then, because for some reason, like, some part of me, witchcraft, knew that this would be relevant later. So I have all of the chat logs saved, like in notepad documents on my computer from back then, 2004, 2005. But I've gone back. I read a lot of it last year because I started making these TikToks that were getting popular. And I went back and read a lot of it. Most of it's fucking nonsensical garbage. Like, it's just people in a chat room talking about, like, I'm having peanut butter and jelly for lunch. What are you having? I watched an anime today. LOL, Rufflecopter. Yeah. Like, it's nonsense. Okay. Mostly. But then occasionally, one of the vampires would pop in, and everyone's tone would shift. Suddenly, everyone who was previously just being, like, a normal kid would be, like, most dark, gothic lady, serious.
They jumped
business.
into character.
Yeah, you gotta impress the vampires. Gotcha. You can't be talking about no, like, fruits basket anime. gotta be serious. So
people, they had to really believe, though, in order to change who you are or your everyday person, and then to hit this switch and you become this goth vampire now, or trying to impress this person. They had to really believe that this was who they said they were.
So I wish I knew. Like, two of the women who ran this operation are still alive and around. They won't talk to my ass. They don't like me very much. Reasons that will become apparent. But I would love to sit down with them and be like, because I'm not angry, to be honest. Like, they did fuck up my life for a long period of time, but I'm like not mad about it. It shaped my life in a lot of ways, some of which were not wholly bad. I took a lot of positive things from my time in this weird ass group. But I would love to sit down and just be like, what was going through your head exactly?
Yeah.
Like, is there a identity distortion where part of them really believed that something was going on? Did they think they were channeling the spirit of an Anne Rice vampire? Did they think they were half vampire? Like, what was going on? I wish I knew, but I do not. Okay. But there are people like that out there who think that they, have fictional character spirits in their heads and they can reality shift and like channel Snape from the Harry Potter series. It happens. Snape wives, it's a real thing.
So you get to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. This is where they're based, right?
Well, kind of. So the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles series is really enmeshed with New Orleans because Anne Rice, the author herself, lived in New Orleans for a long period of time, and many of her books are set there.
Gotcha.
But the cult itself, I don't know if any of them were ever living there. One person who was probably involved did live there for a period of time, but I don't think any of the real life people were there. One of them is in Canada. The other one was in New York City. I don't know where she is now. The Midwest, perhaps. I'm not doxing anyone. You got to be clear about that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they weren't there, but the cult would have meetups in New Orleans. So I had visited the city a couple of times prior to moving to meet up with other people who were in the cult.
When you did these meetups,
yeah,
or your first meetup, how old are you?
Let me think. 19.
So you're going from where to where?
Perth, Western Australia, to New Orleans, Louisiana.
For a meetup.
Yeah.
What was this meetup like?
So, I mean, honestly, great. Like, this is the sad part, in a way, is that, like any group of people who meet around a shared interest or common purpose on the internet, it wasn't as common back then, but like these days, we meet people on the internet all the time. Yeah. You and I met on the internet, right? It was just a bunch of us getting together because we had forged friendships over a long period of time on this forum. None of the vampires were there, but this is important. So because we didn't know who the vampires really were, right? We only ever talked to them as like their characters. The mask never slipped. It was never like, oh, this is Lestat, but it's really like Jane. The vampires would tell us that they were watching us. They would tell us that they were like gonna be in the city and they'd be like keeping their eye on us. But they didn't, no one came along and was like, hey, it's me, Lestat, but really it's Jane. So all of us normal human people would meet each other and hang out and... Allegedly, were we? But maybe we weren't. You don't know that I'm a person. It's nighttime.
It's all good.
Okay.
I don't feel in danger.
He's comfortable about it.
All right.
So, yeah, it was just like meeting up with friends, and the awkwardness that comes with meeting people from the internet for the first time. But a lot of us went on to become like really good friends. I have one person particularly that I've been friends with from that group, I guess, for like 23 or 24 years. Yeah. And like we're still tight. You do kind of trauma bond with people too when you go through that kind of experience together.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the cult operated in such a way that there were a lot of people who were part of this message board who never really saw the like dark internal workings. So for many different reasons. Some people joined and they had a good head on their shoulders, and from the get-go they were just like, this is some bullshit. So they were there for the fun of it.
Okay.
For the funny chat room conversations about anime, but they weren't drinking the Kool-Aid. There was kind of an outer circle and an inner circle, which of course, like, this is what happens in cults. Oftentimes you've got the kind of outer ring of people who never really see how fucked up it is, and then you have like the inner circle that things get really gnarly. I think about Nexium a lot, like that weird cult with Keith Raniere with the sweatband on his head and the branding and shit. And, you had a lot of people who went to those lectures and learned personal development from him who were like, this is normal. But then you had the women who were getting branded on the ass. It's less normal. Kind of the same with us, right? No one got branded on the ass, to my knowledge. But there was this undercurrent where a lot of us were being told this much more fucked up, intense, manipulative stuff. And for us, it became way higher stakes. So I have people to this day, who I knew back then, who saw my videos when they came out because they went like a tiny bit baby viral, who were saying like, oh, well, she's full of shit. Like, it wasn't like that. It was so chill. It was totally fine. And I'm like, I'm sure that it was for you.
You didn't see this side of
it
things.
Wasn't for me. Exactly. And I think you have to also take some accountability and responsibility on an individual level, which is that for me, conditions were primed for me to get sucked into something like that. I didn't have a lot going on in my personal life or my like real life. I had a bad home situation. I was prone to being fantastical. My dad had died when I was like 12. A lot of things were happening that made me an easy target for people who wanted to suck me into like a manipulative fantasy. And so I think some of the other people who didn't have that experience, maybe they just, had a better situation going on. They didn't need to escape from their shitty life.
Okay.
So I go to New Orleans to these meetups. It's honestly very chill and nice, but there is always this undercurrent of who's watching in the shadows, what's going on. And there's no fear attached to that, right? It's really hoping that something will happen, being desperate for like the moment where you're going to be able to resolve inside yourself, I'm not crazy. And I haven't just wasted 7 or 8 years of my life. And so I kept coming back to New Orleans year after year to meet up with my friends, to go on like fun little adventures. I went to New York to visit some of these people. And I had a wonderful time, honestly. We had some wonderful memories. But there was always this part of me that was like, when is it going to happen? When is the moment going to happen? And I think in my head, it wasn't just, when will I get proof? It was like, when are these fuckers going to make me a fucking vampire? Shit.
I know a lot of people feel like that.
God damn.
Yeah.
And I'm 39 and I'm still not a vampire. This is a scam, man.
Okay.
So I didn't pay anyone $5.99.99. So eventually things are kind of reaching a fever pitch, like in the cult itself, right? Because I'm really struggling to hold these realities in my head. The reality of these people telling me that they are really vampires, that at this point I'm in the inner circle and I'm being told, you're being visited by Armand and he's giving you his blood. And you're like sick because of it. And you're being turned like slowly into a vampire. So you're not a vampire with the cool powers and the eternal youth, but you aren't human anymore either, which means that your life's just gonna suck, actually, like more than it did before, which is a really raw deal.
This sounds like some brainwashing.
It's not good. Yeah. And I remember I got really, really sick. I have a chronic illness. So like I've been sick since I was a kid, but I got really, really sick when I was about 22. And no one could tell me what it was. It felt like I woke up one morning and a bus had just hit me. All of my energy was gone. I couldn't eat. I couldn't keep food down. All I wanted to do was sleep. I was having these crazy lucid dreams every time I slept. I was hallucinating, like something was very wrong. Witchcraft. Maybe curse.
Curse, hex.
And I went to a doctor, as you do, because I'm not stupid. And come on now.
Okay.
So I go to the doctor, tell them that I'm feeling like absolute dog shit. And the doctor did some blood tests, gave me an examination, and was just like, there's nothing wrong with you. So I go home, still feeling like absolute death. I was on about week 5 of this, couldn't work, was just in my apartment by myself. I was living alone at the time. And I was going, all I was doing was watching the Vampire Diaries and like going on the cult while like really unwell and feverish. So like that's a recipe for disaster. But I have no answers. And I'm up in the middle of the night, or American nighttime, Australian daytime, talking to the vampires. And one of them, it was Daniel, for reference. It's just for anyone who's a fan. That's who it was. And he was like, why do you bother going to see doctors about this? They're not going to find anything and you know what it is. And I was like, you know, I'm running 101 degree fever. So I was like, what do you mean, you know? And he was like, you know what it is. Like you've known for years what's happening. Like, when are you just gonna like admit it to yourself? And I was like, you're gonna have to spell it out for me, fam, because like,
Yeah.
no. And he was like, well, you have Armand's blood. Like, he's been visiting you in the night, erasing your memory.
Hold on. Let me put this all together.
Yeah.
Daniel, is he considered to be one of the actual vampires?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, you're actually talking to the vampire.
Yes.
Allegedly, right?
Allegedly.
Okay. Daniel is telling you that Armand,
yes,
which is an actual vampire as well,
an actual vampire,
who is giving you his blood while you're asleep.
Yeah, we had a whole secret relationship that I didn't remember because my brain got erased. It's
Armand
a miracle I'm still alive.
A weirdo. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, as you can imagine, I didn't take that great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a heavy thing to disclose to someone with 101 degree fever.
So are you believing it at this point?
I think, like, I don't know if, I'm sure you have, right? Been really sick before, to the point where you're like, there's nothing left in you. Mm-hmm. Like you got nothing to give to anybody. And I think at that point, your brain's not operating with a full deck. And so that was the closest I came to really like fully drinking the Kool-Aid and being like, okay, I guess I'm just going to accept this reality.
Yeah.
Because the other thing was that anytime I tried to push back against the reality, like they would tell me all type of crazy shit. And I would sometimes kind of brush it off or I'd laugh about it. And then they would publicly shame me in front of everybody else in the group. Yeah. There was one time we were in the chat room and one of them was giving me a hard time for not believing, because I was kind of renowned for being like, I was not going gently into that good night. Like I had a lot of doubts and I was very vocal about them. And I was always trying to get to the truth. I was like trying to poke and prod and Google and research. Mm-hmm. And one of them was giving me a hard time about it. He was like, why don't you believe what you've seen with your own eyes? Like, what's your fucking problem? And like, these people held a lot of influence. They were in charge of the space. They could excommunicate you and you would lose all your friends, right? Mm-hmm. And so he was giving me a really hard time. And I was like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. Believe with my own eyes. I've never seen one of you. What do you mean? He was like, well, we met your mom in New Orleans. And I said, what do you mean you met my mom? He was like, yeah, the last time you were here, like you were in town with her. And we were watching you the whole time. And when you were off with your friends from the cult, like we followed her and we went into this bar and your mom was drunk in the bar and she left her bag behind and I picked it up and I gave it to her. And I was like, okay, I'm like, all right, bro, that's a cool story.
Mom.
You joke. I didn't believe him. So he was like, call her right now. Call her.
Okay.
And this was toward the end of my time in the cult where we had a video chat feature. So I was like on video chat. They were, of course, not on video chat.
So they just blank page.
They just don't have their camera turned on. So they're just typing away, right? But I'm on video. And he's like, call her. Call her. So at this point, I'm so fucking far down the rabbit hole that I'm like, I don't care. Fine, I'll pick up the phone. So I call my mom. My poor mom. And I was just like, hey, remember when we were in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago? Do you remember like a guy who kind of looked like this? He was like this tall and had dark hair. And do you remember him like picking up your bag for you because you left your bag behind? And my mom's like, what is this about? I was like, I'm just asking because my friend's saying that he picked your bag up. Like, do you remember that happening? And she was like, yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I think I do remember that happening. And so, of course, the fucking like middle-aged woman on the other side of the computer in Delaware or whatever was like, like, see, your own mother. And I get off the call and this vampire is like, oh, so are you going to doubt your own mother now?
They was like really brainwashing her.
Dude, yeah. To which I kind of like wanted to say, like, my mother is an alcoholic of many years. Like, yes, I doubt my mother on a regular basis, but yeah, like it was stuff like that. So I did push back a lot. But in this particular period of time when I was really unwell, didn't know what was wrong with me, etc., and they were feeding me this story that was also a story I wanted to believe. Like, I desperately wanted that to be true. So for a minute, I was like, all right, bet. Maybe I'm secretly blood marked by a vampire from Anne Rice's novels. Yeah, it was a hell of a time to be me. It's incredible I graduated with my college degree, but I did.
Okay. When you get well,
yeah,
I'm assuming that you got better at some point.
Debatable.
I think better. Your fever came down.
Yeah,
your fever came down.
I'm not running 101 degree fever to this day.
Are you still believing this? Are you still?
Yeah, I think like probably once the fever abated, which spoilers, eventually I got another blood test done and they were like, you had mononucleosis. That's what it was, not vampires. The two things may be similar. It's hard to say. I didn't believe it like I had in that like feverish state, but I was still having a lot of guilt placed on me by these people and a lot of like brainwashing stuff. I was also still desperate to believe it because it seemed somehow still seemed preferable to like just going about my life normally. And then also I was having some paranormal experiences, which I didn't know what to do with. And so through, like, it's all lens, right? So I was putting the lens of the cult on these paranormal experiences. So it was difficult. I was truly didn't know what to believe. And one foot was in the guess it's all real place, and one foot was in the this is bullshit and you're being taken advantage of place.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You ever seen the movie Blade?
I have. It's been a while.
In any of these meetups or at any point being in this cult, have you experienced or even have felt like you had an experience with an actual, I guess, how they depict the movie vampire?
Not as it's done in the movies, is what I would say.
Okay.
One of the saddest parts of my experience of the vampire communities that I've been in and out of is that you always want it to be like the Blood Raven Blade, and it's always a group of middle-aged people in like period clothing getting increasingly drunk and vomiting in a trash can, which is really sad. So disappointing, you know? So I've been to a lot of vampire parties with people who identified in one way or another as vampires. And at some of those events, there's definitely been blood drinking going on and things like that. But I have never had an experience face-to-face, as you and I are talking now, with someone that I would say was verifiably like a supernatural vampire. But I'm open to it. So if any are available, holla at you, girl.
You've been to these parties.
Yes.
Vampire parties.
Vampire parties.
To be very specific. You just stated that there has been blood drinking.
Yeah.
Have you taken a part of that?
I have drunk human blood, yes.
At this party?
Not at the party. I don't like parties.
About to say,
to be honest.
Sound dangerous to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, at some of these parties, the safety is probably dialed way up because you gotta, if you're having an event, you gotta make sure everything's above board. But no, my blood drinking experience was not in the context of a vampire party.
Can you talk about it?
Can I talk about it? Yeah. I mean, what do you want to know about the blood drinking?
Who, why, where, like?
All the W's. Who, what, where, when, and why.
Yeah. I mean, if you're comfortable to speak about it.
Well, so people drink blood for different reasons. Let's start there, right?
Okay.
So there are people in the vampire community the broader vampire community, who ingest blood because they feel like they need it in some way. Most of the time, these people go by the term sanguinarian vampire, which is basically just a fancy Latin way to be like designate yourself from psychic vampires or other kinds of vampire. These folk believe that they need human blood or energy of some kind, but best expressed through human blood, to kind of subsist. They feel stronger and more alert and more powerful if they have human blood. They feel like they get sick or weak and tired if they don't have it. And I did spend some of my time as a much, much younger person, when I first found like weird internet stuff, wondering if that was what was going on with me. There are a lot of times when I was a teenager that I was like cutting my own wrist and like sucking on my own blood and going to sleep smearing my blood on my lips like a weirdo. Yeah. Everybody does this.
Hold on. Hell no.
It's very normal for teenage girls. It's the teenage girl experience.
Was this due to the cult you were doing this, or this just was like prior?
I might have been doing it prior, but definitely because I was absorbing a lot of like vampire and gothic literature. The teenage girl is a very real experience, man. It's a world apart over there. A lot, teenage girls cut themselves and get romantic notions. It's a thing. Yeah, well, I'm waiting for the comments to fill up and people being like, I don't know what kind of teenage girl you were, but I was playing like
let us know
hockey and being normal. Yeah, no, I was not doing that.
All
so
right.
yeah, like
you still didn't tell me who.
I only drink blood in one very specific context, and that is with my partner. So for me, it's an intimacy thing. It's not a like life force thing for me. And Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton were doing it back in the 90s. So it's not that weird, everybody.
I don't think it's weird. It's just not common.
That's fair.
I don't know if it's weird, but
you know what though? I mean,
if it's with your partner, it's not like you're going out to the middle of the street and snatching up homeless people and then.
No, that would be bad for so many reasons. I feel like.
You see how these movies are? They just grab anybody and.
And so, okay, so some people do that. I will say I don't.
Hold on.
Not homeless people. But like there are people out there, especially people who do think that they need it for whatever reason, who they will have a situation where they'll get like a donor. And the donor will be not always someone that they have a close relationship with. I mean, they're not always a friend or a lover. The donor can be just a person that's down for that. Yeah. And I think this is where it kind of like intersects with kink community stuff. So like vampire stuff and kink community stuff, there's quite a lot of crossover, which is like not really the case for me because I'm largely asexual and I just don't like to leave my house. So...
Okay.
I contain multitudes.
Okay, so then how did all this end for you? Because you did get out, right?
Did it end? Is the real question.
Okay. Even better?
Yeah. So...
Hold on. Did you come to a realization that, I guess, up until this point, you're like, this isn't real, or this it's not going to happen to me?
Yeah. I think the point that I came to, by the end of things, I was so deep in the inner circle that I had like close friendships with people who were telling me that they had for real met the vampires like face to face. This one woman, we're going to call her Julie. Hi, Julie, if you're out there. How you doing, girl? Julie was telling me like, oh no, like I have Lestat's blood and we're blood sisters because of it, you and I want to help you on this journey, and like it's a curse, but it can be a beautiful blessing. It's probably why you're such a talented psychic and witch, like all this crazy shit. And I just started to realize that something was really off about Julie. There had also been like multiple scandals at this point with the forum where other people had tried to like bring it down. People were like emailing Anne Rice and being like, you gotta get your lawyers on this shit because people are using your characters to like really mentally damage people. And at one point she did, I think, actually have her lawyers do something because suddenly all the moderators had to change their names. So they were no longer going by the vampire names publicly, but we all knew who they were. You know?
Yeah.
And so because of these scandals that had popped up over the years, people had done some digging into who could really be behind the scenes. And it had turned into this sort of like absurd years-long public flame war where there were like live journal entries and blog posts and people digging up truth and here's an IP address and here's someone's real Facebook and we know that this person is that person and here's like the Charlie Day murder board with all the red string on it, and it was real crazy. But those of us who were still really deep in, we didn't want to believe that. You know, these were our friends and these were people who cared about us and people we'd been talking to for a decade. So we were like, no, I don't want to hear about that. Eventually, I started to realize that Julie, my like hot young photographer model friend who lived in New York and like knew all the vampires personally, I was like, something's not really adding up about this. It seems a little suspicious. So I put a IP address tracker on my live journal. Now, this is the old magic from the Y2K internet, but used to be people would put little counters on their websites or on their blogs or whatever to see where the traffic was coming from. We have it all like baked into our shit now, right? When we're doing SEO or whatever. But back in the day, you would get a little bit of code, you would put it on your website, and it would track who was coming in and who was going out. It would keep track of how many visitors you had, where they were coming from, what their IP address was. And you could make this code invisible. So there was no way for somebody to tell that they were being tracked coming in and coming out. I put a bit of that code on a private live journal entry that was locked only to Julie and Armand. And then I dropped them both the link. Or no, I dropped Armand the link. Maybe it was both of them. I did something. Some witchcraft happened. And through this means, I deduced that the IP address of Armand and Lestat was the same as Julie's IP address. So at this point, I open up an AOL Instant Messenger chat with Julie, and I say, hey, girl, it seems like either Lestat and Armand live in your basement, or you might be them. Would you like to have a talk about it? Mm-hmm. And I was pretty chill about it, really. I think I had justification to be a lot more like angry and aggressive than I was, but I literally was just like, hey, we've been friends a long time and we've been talking as friends. I've sent you stuff in the mail. Like, we appear to have a friendship. Can you please talk to me about what is going on here? And she basically just said, I have nothing to explain to you. Never contact me again. And like banned me from the forum and blocked me on everything.
She was caught.
She was caught. And I was not the only person at that point in time doing some serious digging. There were a couple of other people who were digging stuff up, and there were other people who were posting it publicly. So at that point, the jig was kind of up. And her house of cards tumbled down. The forum closed. Everything goes quiet for a while. There was a weird period of time where I was processing all of this, and I did buy the domain name for the old forum just to fuck with them a little bit. I did do that. Sorry. I gave it back because I'm an idiot. Like, I should have kept it. I could have had it to this day, but like, I have a soft heart. And I was like, maybe these people didn't mean to be horrible manipulators for decades.
Talking about
so I gave
20 years of your
I know.
life.
But it all goes quiet for a while. At some point, I hear that they've started a new forum. This was maybe around when I moved to New Orleans, actually. By the time I moved there, all of this had ended for me. Like, my participation in the cult had ended. So it was a very bittersweet move because I had been moving to New Orleans thinking like, yeah, we're gonna be a vampire. My time in New Orleans after I moved was marked by like processing all of this psychologically. And so even though I wasn't actively involved in the cult, a big part of me still struggled with the belief. A big part of me was like, man, what if it wasn't Julie? Like, what if it was all still real? And I was still having crazy dreams and like weird supernatural experiences. So part of me was like, did I just fuck up my like dream life? So anyway, they start another forum. Obviously, my ass is not on there. And it kind of dies down for me. I move on to other things. I start psychologically processing. And then last year, around April, I got a sinus infection. And I was on a lot of NyQuil.
Okay.
And I was sitting on my front porch one day, getting over the sinus infection, full of NyQuil. And I thought to myself, I haven't had a TikTok do well for a while. What do I have in my lore file that I could like talk about? And so I just started yapping. And I really did not think, because you know what TikTok's like. Sometimes you get 200 views. Sometimes you get like
Tell me about
a million views. Like, who knows?
Yep.
So I just yapped to my camera. People are really mad about that first video because I had coffee in a cup and the ice was clinking around and people are real angry about that. Sorry. Yeah. And it went viral. It went a little bit viral on TikTok, but it went like super viral on Instagram for me anyway. It got like 1.1 million views. And I realized that people were really resonating with the story because so many people in my age group, like millennials, and I would say like even, I mean, some Gen X, some Zoomers, have that experience of being like sucked into a fantasy world online or catfished online. And so I thought people were going to come for me. You got to understand, I thought the comments was like, when I came off the NyQuil, I was like, what did you do? I thought people were going to be like, you stupid bitch. Yeah. Are you dumb? And instead, people were like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I also have a weird internet experience. And it was a very heartwarming share. And so I kept talking about it. And as it continued to get viral, people who were in the cult started coming out of the woodwork and noticing things. And so I had a lot of weird interactions last year with a lot of people from the past. Some people who I have since rekindled a friendship with, which was really lovely. Some people who came out of the woodwork to tell me I was a dumbass. Fair enough. And on one occasion, someone came out of the shadows and started talking to me all cryptic-like. It was someone I remembered from back in the day. But notably, not someone that anyone had ever met in real life. It was like this guy who was supposed to be like this hot gay guy who was on the forum. And he was always traveling all over the world investigating vampires. But he was just a human. But, you know, like he was doing all this cool stuff. And toward the end of the cult existing, he had actually been supposedly about to be turned into a vampire because he had this like real relationship with Daniel. And Daniel, it was all very fucked up. Someone had a fentanyl overdose. I don't even know. Where do we start?
Where did drugs get involved?
It's crazy. The rabbit hole's so deep. So anyway, like I remembered him from back in the day. But even back in the day, people were like, is this guy real? Or is this like another character that's been drawn into the story? So he pops up out of nowhere. It's a brand new TikTok account. No paper trail. And he's in my DMs being like, do you remember me? It's James from The Looking Glass. And we have this like kind of nice conversation for like a month or so, like a little back and forth where we're just talking heart to heart. But he's saying stuff to me that's this same very hyper-specific, riddly, cryptic language that the vampire moderators used to use. Like at one point he was like, don't you think that you're doing something a little dangerous telling this story? Like, aren't you worried about who it's going to impact? And I was like, not really. I'm not using anybody's real name. Like, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? He was like, well, the internet's crazy. Have you seen that documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats? I was like, did any of you kill cats? That's where you got to be concerned.
Yeah.
So he messages me one day and he's like, I had a dream last night. A castle by the sea besieged by iron shocks, and in the sky above it, an angry digital eye staring down. And I was like, all right,
You remembered that shit word for word?
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but the angry digital eye was there. And I was like, I see the metaphor, but like, where are you going with this? And at that point, I was like, this motherfucker is Julie. Like, this is Julie. Straight ass. Because the way this person's talking is just too weird. So we have this uneasy, somewhat friendly back and forth for a while. And then more and more people from the cult start like coming out of the woodwork, and people are making their own videos, and people are in my comments section telling me I'm a lunatic and saying all type of shit. And it just gets very dramatic, as these things do. And this account pops up that is making all this satire content about the moderators of the forum. Mm-hmm. And it's all this sort of like ChatGPT AI art of like the real old women who were behind the whole thing. And it's very unflattering, but honestly, occasionally funny. But it's pretty mean. Like, it's not very nice. And people start thinking it's me. And they're like, you're making all these horrible videos. And like James is in my DMs being like, why would you betray everybody this way? Like, I thought you were going to tell the story in a fair, even-handed way. And I thought you had changed, but you're just the same as you were when you were 17. And like all this like mean stuff. Meanwhile, it's not me. Like, I'm not on ChatGPT making like 16 fucking cartoons a day. Mm-hmm. I'm putting people in a freezer. I'm busy. God damn. So it gets insane. Like, it reaches like a fever pitch to the point where someone, and I can't name who, but someone has a phone conversation with one of the other people who was a moderator on this website. This woman, we're going to call her Lila. And this person has a phone conversation with Lila, and Lila spills the beans. Lila's like, yeah, I was one of the moderators. Like, I'm older now and I've just had a stroke, and like, I don't like that TikTok lady talking about all our shit from the past. And she's pretty mad at me. So she's not going to love this. Sorry about that.
She'll watch though.
She will. They're all watching. I'll tell you that. Sure.
Make sure y'all subscribe too. Just
if you need anyone put in a freezer,
there you go.
I'll put myself in the freezer for the right price. So they have this phone conversation with Lila. Lila tells everybody, on this call that she was involved. She verifies a lot of things. She still thinks that Julie is like young and hot. I mean, not as young now, obviously, but she still thinks Julie is like in her 30s and this like New York photographer, because they're still in touch. So somehow Julie gets looped in. Julie's been watching this whole time. Like, guarantee Julie like saw that shit go viral and was on it from the jump. But Julie sends somebody an email threatening to sue people. Julie's like, if you talk to Celeste ever again, I will sue you. Which, like, first of all,
Julie just bored.
Julie, how are you going to sue someone from Canada? Yeah. First of all, you got to come to the United States to do that shit. I
hear Canada has vampires though.
Really? Maybe she is one. Is that the reveal?
I've heard that.
Canada specifically? Are they special? Is there some like, I don't know, secret Mountie vampire situation?
I heard from somebody very credible that's
Askia.
They got some shit up there.
I'm rethinking all my life choices now, because what if this whole time Julie has been a vampire?
Maybe.
Her like 68-year-old ass sitting in Winnipeg, but she's a vampire for real, or she knows him. I've shot myself in the foot.
Just from the way you're telling the story,
it's probably
think
not.
Julie's just bored.
I think so too. She was probably in the military.
This is her life.
She was in the military the whole time this was happening, like in the 2000s.
How do you know that?
We have our ways.
Okay, so so Julie was in the military.
Yeah. But running like all
she
these...
didn't tell y'all that.
No. Other people sleuthed out her like real identity. Because everybody leaves.
So you know what Julie really looked like?
At this point, we do, yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to make that public on my TikToks or anywhere else.
Of course.
Because, again, as much as I think, like, I would love to have a conversation with Julie, I think she's probably a little crazy. But we're all a little crazy. Like, I just want to know what was going on in her mind. Like,
Let's get Julie on the podcast.
Yeah, come on the podcast. Round
table. Come tell your side, Julie.
Discussion.
We will listen.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like, that was the end chapter. But like last year was a crazy year because all these people from the past were popping back up. And I was getting pulled back in to the manipulation of it all because at one point James, who was probably Julie, or at least knows Julie, was telling people to tell me that they had really met him and that he was a guy, but that also he was a vampire now because Daniel had turned him into a vampire. It got crazy. Like, I was just like, stop. We're too old for this. I'm old. I have to go to physical therapy for my joints.
You're not old.
At the point in time you got to go to physical therapy for your joints, you're an old person. Too old for vampire bullshit.
You are not old. Okay.
We're all too old for vampire bullshit.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
You've gotten all this information now.
Yes.
You've even had these experiences with quote-unquote vampires.
Yeah.
You've come to the conclusion that most of this stuff probably wasn't real.
Yes.
Are you... I mean, I guess you can't be, but are you worried at all that these people will ever come for you?
Can you imagine? Like, this is going to be the bus moment. Like, I'm going to go back to New Orleans and you're going to read a news story that's like 39-year-old professional witch found drained of her blood in the street. And you're going to be like, fuck. It'd be your fault.
I hope not. Because now I got to come to New Orleans to get my blade on.
Right? And that's how it all comes full circle. No, I think like... So there's like a part of me... I genuinely don't want anything bad to happen to these people. Like, you know, people have asked me, like, what do you want? Do you want, like, revenge or, like, retribution? And I'm like, you know, like, I've processed through all of this. And a lot of it was pretty damaging at the time. Like, I mean, I, like, tried to kill myself. It was, like, gnarly at the time. But I also had a lot of other problems at the time unrelated to them. And it was all fusing in a not so nice way. So I've kind of, I guess, forgiven a lot of it. There are times where I think about specific stuff that happened and I get a little bit angry about it. But, like, I'm not really pressed anymore. I worry that they're going to interpret me talking about it as me trying to, like, come for them. And I really don't want that. Like, I don't want anyone else to come for them. I'm not trying to come for them. I would love to have a conversation at some point. I think it's very unlikely that they're going to want to talk to me.
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, I did use the word cult in relation to their, like, little group, and I don't think they love that. But I think the biggest thing for me is, especially last year when I was digging up a lot of my memories about it and going back through my paper and pen journals and all these chat logs and stuff, and thinking about the person that I was and how much I went through in my real life and also on this, like, in this weird online life. And I went to a pretty dark place with it because it was a lot to, like, dredge up from the past. And so where I landed this year, as I'm kind of I took a couple of months off from talking about it at all. I'm diving back in. Is I want to understand for myself how reality and fiction merged in the way they did. And that kind of brings us back to witchcraft, which is that witchcraft is a lens, but it's also a narrative tool. The stories that we tell and the stories that we choose to absorb, whether that's through media or, you know, other people's narratives that we bring into our own lives, right? It's immensely powerful and it changes things. So some of these supernatural experiences that I had while I was part of the cult, which I have now put in a box that's like, okay, that was probably an unrelated paranormal experience. At the time, I was like, maybe that's cult related. I'm now kind of re-examining a lot of those too and being like, okay, what was that? Because there is this weird narrative possibility that some of the people who ran this forum might have been occultists. One of them ran a witch shop for years. We know that she was into witchcraft. They talked a lot about narrative magic and Carl Jung and synchronicity and, like, weird occult topics. I think I learned some of the more intense occult things from these people.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to untangle now. Okay, they weren't Anne Rice vampires, but what were they stirring up in this group? A large group of people all believing the same thing and feeding energy and attention into it for 20 years? It's gonna cause some ripples in the fabric of reality. So that's kind of where I've landed with it all, and that's where things get real weird.
I'm gonna ask you something.
Yeah.
And this might be too personal, but I think that it will potentially help someone.
Yeah.
Even if it's one person.
Well, I'm always down for that.
You talked about the possibility of harming yourself to where you don't exist anymore. What got you through that point? And like, is there light? You know, is there hope for anybody that's going through that situation?
110,000,000%. There is always hope. 100%. I was thinking on the drive down here. I'm here with my wonderful friend who drove the car because I was having a little panic attack. And I was thinking on the car ride here, like, damn, if you had told 17-year-old me that this is where my life would be at 39, there's no fucking way I would have believed you. Like, I am living the life that I dreamed about living when I was 17. I'm not a vampire, allegedly, but, you know, I have my dream life. And the only thing standing in the way of like 17-year-old Celeste and 39-year-old Celeste is time. The only thing that gets you through that like dark night of the soul where you're like up against the wall and ready to do the final thing and a life that could be exponentially better than you've even dreamed is time. And it's the hardest thing and the easiest thing because all you've got to do is breathe and take it from 1 second to the next second. But you can do it. I'm getting emotional because I have a lot of friends who've dealt with this stuff too. And I have friends who didn't make it. But you can make it. It will seem like the hardest thing in the world. But all you have to do is put it off for 1 day. Just take it one day at a time. It's the reason they use that in Alcoholics Anonymous. It also works if you're an alcoholic. Ask me how I know. And it's that, and it's your support system, honestly. Like I was lucky in that even though I was really isolated, I did have some people who were there at the end of a phone. For me, it for sure was not my family. But if you can pick up the phone, anyone that you can think of who is empathetic and has a listening ear, I guarantee you're not going to burden that person. They're going to be glad that you called. Just pick up the phone and have the conversation.
There is hope, guys. 1 second after the other.
That's all it is.
Breathe.
And then before you know it, you're sitting by a pile of flaming skulls in the middle of nowhere in Austin, Texas. Talking to this guy. How did it happen? Witchcraft and time.
Hold on. You did witchcraft to get here?
Not on purpose. Okay. Again. Not deliberately.
Oh, my goodness.
My life is a series of chaotic and happy accidents.
Okay.
It's a good way to live. And that's the other thing, that'll get you through. You gotta understand that the universe is full of very strange but infinite possibilities. I'm guessing you yourself have stories about like thinking, how the fuck did I get here, right? And like, it's weird shit happens when you just take that step and have faith that it'll work out. So
I'm doing that right now. People think I'm crazy for stopping what I was doing before to do this.
But so far you're crushing it.
We on the way.
Look at these guys.
We on the way. 1 day at a time.
These guys.
Yeah.
You got a giant...
Those might have been the people I killed already.
We did talk to some people before we came out here. You know that? Like I found another lady who was on your podcast and I was like, he's not a serial killer, right?
Who did you ask?
I asked the vampire lady.
Vampire lady.
The lady who was talking about the vampire to us.
Oh, you're talking about Jen.
Yeah, I was
Spooky
just like, hey, Jen.
Oh, no.
Askia is not a murderer, right?
Jen is like a really good friend of mine. I talked to Jen today.
Yeah, Jen was like, he's great. I was like, thank God.
Yeah, no, Jen is amazing.
But we had to check because, there's some weirdos out there.
Of course.
I've met a lot of them.
No, I'm giving you my word. You're safe when you're here. Nothing will harm you. Nothing will touch you. So
it's a good vibe.
You had mentioned something about paranormal stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
What paranormal things have you experienced?
Specific to the cult, there were a couple of things that happened during my time there that I just don't really have a solid explanation for. Now, again, you want to put your skeptic hat on. There are ways that we can maybe explain it, but it was still pretty weird. So the main thing was there was a period of time where I was in the cult. I'd been told that I had the vampire blood and that was why I was sick all the time and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of getting pissed off at this point, to be honest, because like these people had been talking to me online forever, giving me all these riddles and like carved truths and weird shit. And no one was giving me a fucking straight answer. And they sure as shit weren't turning up and being like, here's your verified proof. And as much as it might seem like I'm a whimsical, delusional person, I do like some concrete proof, if possible. So I was going to bed every night, being like, Armand, homie, where the fuck are you? Like, you can show up. That'd be nice. What if you just were here? We could have a conversation.
Hold on. You mean prior to you sleeping or in your dream?
Prior to sleeping. Like, not out loud, usually.
Okay.
Usually.
Okay.
But I did live alone, so it wasn't that weird.
Gotcha.
It might have been weird in the context of having like a roommate or a partner. That would have been strange.
I mean, if
maybe
people tend to live with people that they kind of have an understanding
vibe
of,
with.
so, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't be that weird.
Maybe not. It was not the case, fortunately. Okay. So this one particular period of time, I had been just very emotional about everything, pretty angry. Going to sleep at night, like in my head, being like, come on, bruh. And I, at the time, lived alone, but I would often have friends come stay and they would crash on the couch in the living room, right? And this one friend of mine had been crashing at my house a lot. She was fighting with her dad. And she kept telling me that she was waking up in the night and seeing this like shadow figure walk into my bedroom.
I ought to pack my shit.
So she was like telling me, she was like, yeah, I keep waking up and seeing this like male shaped shadow open the door to your room and walk in. And
open the door.
Yeah. So I'm getting even more pissed off because I'm like, she's seeing some shit and I'm not seeing anything. This is bullshit. Simultaneously, right, the people in the cult are telling me that my memory is getting erased and that the reason that I'm not remembering these nighttime visits where I'm getting vampire blood is because my memory is getting wiped.
They feeding you all kind of bullshit.
All kind of bullshit. So this one night I go to sleep. I'm doing my usual routine of yelling expletives in my head at this fictional Anne Rice vampire. And I have a very particular nighttime routine at the time. I had cats. I do love a cat. But they weren't allowed in my room. I had like a kind of canopy around my bed, like kind of mosquito netting. And the cats would all get tangled up in it at night and be crazy. So I was like, they can't be in here. So I had made sure that there were no cats in the room. Everything was locked down. My friend was not staying over. All was well. Door was closed. I wake up in the middle of the night, just out of sleep as we do sometimes. Kind of roll over. I'm wriggling around in my bed. And I stretch out, getting comfy. And my foot hits this like shape on the end of my bed. And in my half awake state, I'm like, oh, it must be a cat. Like the cat's asleep on the bed. And then slowly as I start to wake up a little bit more, my brain's like, the cat's not in here. And then I start to like wriggle a little bit more. And I realize that this shape on the bed is too big to be a cat.
It wasn't like the bed frame, right?
No, like we're talking like, first of all, I didn't have a bed frame really. I mean, I had a bed frame, but it was like, there was no like posts or anything. Yeah. And this was just like a solid shape by my cuff. And so I'm opening my eyes blearily, but it's dark, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to kind of squint and see what's going on. And at the end of my bed, I see this like person sitting on the end of my bed. And immediately two things happen. The first thing is, part of me is like, hell yeah, this is what I was asking for. Let's go. And the second thing that happens is like primal extreme fear just washes over me. Mm-hmm. That surge of adrenaline where you're just like, oh, fuck. Like I'm in the room with a tiger and I'm about to get mauled. And so I'm watching this thing with this fear flooding my body, but also this part of me that's like, this is good, this is great, this is what you wanted. And it starts to kind of move and like crawl up the bed toward me. Now, this is the period where people with the skeptic hat on are going to be like, that's sleep paralysis, baby. And yes, it is. But there's two things to consider there, maybe. The first thing is that I don't get sleep paralysis. This is the only time ever that has happened to me. I do dream vividly. I do get hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations, which is when you start hallucinating in and out of sleep as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up. But I don't, yeah. We'll talk about that too. But I don't get sleep paralysis. This is the only time this has ever happened. And the second thing is, it doesn't really, from what I've read about other people's sleep paralysis, it doesn't really explain like the cognitive states that I was going through, like the awareness of the shape, the feeling of it, slowly waking up. Mm-hmm. And it also doesn't explain what happened next. But anyway, so it's crawling up the bed toward me. And I suddenly don't feel scared anymore. It's like this thing knew that I was terrified. And it was like an anesthetic, like a psychic anesthetic got like shot into me somehow, whereby I knew cognitively that I was still scared, but I couldn't physically feel scared. It's the weirdest thing. And you'll find people talking about this when they talk about alien abduction experiences. They will sometimes talk about, I was really scared, and then suddenly I wasn't, but I knew that I still was. It was like that. So part of me is still like, hell yeah. Part of me is scared, but not scared. And then I just start getting extremely tired. It was literally like when you're about to go into surgery and you get like the night shot. Yeah. And so I can feel my eyes getting heavy. And my brain is screaming like, no, stay awake. You gotta see this.
So
this is
what
you
now.
Wanted. And I fell asleep. And I wake up the next morning and the door to my room is still closed. So verified, no cats in the room. And my bedside lamp is on when I didn't turn it on at any point, and it was not on when I went to sleep. And I woke up with a bruise on my neck.
Lamp is on, bruise on your neck.
Yeah.
Sure it wasn't a hickey?
Did I give myself one? What happened?
Aren't there, what are those?
What are those?
What are those demons called?
What, incubus or a
succubus?
Well, I mean, it could have been one of those, but like you're acting like that's a normal explanation. What is like one of them? Incubus?
It happens, right?
You were mounting that like it was a alternate to the vampire. You're like, wait, one of them incubuses. It's very normal. Celeste?
Okay, so there's no explanation for this situation. There's no trace of someone was in the room.
Nope. No one was in my house. No one had a key. Like I said, sometimes my friends would come stay, but no one was there that night. So, and that same friend who said that she had seen this thing going in and out of my room had an experience a little while after that where she allegedly saw Lestat in her like backyard, and he like bit her on the wrist, and she showed me a picture of this like mark on her wrist. I think in this case, she was just crazy though, or like trying to convince me of something.
You think she might have? I mean, special effect. I mean, not like edited, but makeup can do that.
Something might have happened there. Yeah, I mean,
or she bit herself.
She won't admit to it, even now to this day. But
you still talk to her?
Yeah, a little. Like we're not tight.
Truth.
We're not.
Tell the truth.
We're not tight. We do talk. But yeah, no, I mean, she said she had a paranormal experience.
Yeah.
And then, so that was kind of the really weird one. The one that I had, like, you can say sleep paralysis, but that doesn't account for bruising.
Right.
You can say, you know, maybe your cat somehow got in your room and got out again. Like, there are ways we can explain
bruise?
it. Yeah, it looked like a bite mark. It looked like a hickey. It just, like, wasn't an explicable hickey, you know?
Okay.
So that was weird.
You said something about what kind of dreams do you have? Like
yeah.
You use, I don't know what words you used.
Oh, I have a lot of lucid dreams. So dreams where, you know, I'm kind of lucid in the dream space, but I also have hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations.
Explain to me what that means, because I know
So
about that.
I'm gonna explain using an illustrative example. Have you ever taken Benadryl?
I have.
Have you ever taken a lot of Benadryl?
No, I have not.
It's probably a good idea. Don't
probably
do that.
Take a fair dosage when I need to,
An
and
adult
that's
dose
about
of
it.
Benadryl.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Hat Man?
I have. Plenty of people seen the Hat Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, for people who don't know, but I'm sure they do, the Hat Man
and it's not me, y'all. It's not.
He's a Hat Man, but not the Hat Man.
Yeah.
So the Hat Man is a shadowy figure in a hat, a spirit allegedly, who people oftentimes report when they have taken Benadryl, but especially like a lot of Benadryl. That's where he kind of first arose. People were like, I'm taking a lot of Benadryl and I'm seeing this guy.
His nickname needs to be Ben.
Ben A. Drill. Yeah, so hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations are kind of similar to the kind of hallucinations that you sometimes have if you're on a heavy antihistamine or something. It's that reality, or I guess kind of any hallucination, but it's specifically hallucinations that happen as you're falling asleep or as you're waking up. So you're not all the way asleep, but maybe you're like super tired. You're in bed, you're cozy, and then you start to see or hear shit. Hypnopompic is as you're falling asleep. Hypnagogic is as you're waking up, I believe. And that is you've woken up, but the dream is still lingering maybe a little bit, and so you're seeing some shit in the real world. I started to have these as a child, actually. I would mostly see bugs. So that's really common, and you'll hear people talking about that on Benadryl too. They get the Benadryl spiders. It's a whole thing. But it happens oftentimes when you're really sleepy, you're hallucinating, and you'll hallucinate bugs. Sometimes you'll get like creepy crawly feeling on your skin. That was what it was when I was a kid.
That's a reaction to too much Benadryl.
Yeah, don't do it, from what I hear.
Yeah.
It's a bad plan. Like, just a normal standard dose of antihistamines, not a crazy one. We don't sanction that in this pod space. No. So, as I got more into witchcraft and practicing a lot more witchcraft, I started to experience these hallucinations more often. And they would be more, I guess, significant. So rather than just being like cockroaches in my room, it would start to be stuff that seemed more spirity, I guess, to put a word on it. The ones that have been craziest, there was a period of time in my spiritual practice where I was coming back to practicing witchcraft after some time away. And I started to hallucinate these like moths made of light, basically. And I would be, in bed going to sleep, but not even really that sleepy. And they would just be there in the air in front of me, to the point where I would have to be like, are you there? Like, what's going on? And I would have to flap them to like dispel them. Over time, those hallucinations got more and more vivid and started to kind of take on the shape of spirits that I work with or entities that I, use in my witchcraft practice.
Talking about like full figures?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
So I have an altar in my bedroom. Don't do that. If you are a beginner, don't put an altar in your bedroom. It's just not a great plan. But I am advanced.
You will not see one in my bedroom.
Yeah, don't do it. Well, you said you're a minimalist anyway, so you can't be having no altars, probably.
It's a TV and a bed.
There you go.
That's about it.
The TV is the truly demonic altar. You got to think about that. Yeah.
It hardly ever turns on, but
That's
yeah.
okay then. But I have this altar in my room, and because it's an altar that I use primarily for dream magic and stuff like that, it attracts a lot of kind of spirit activity. So oftentimes if I'm waking up out of sleep, mostly it's when I'm waking up, I will see spirits like standing by that altar. And as I start to wake up more, I start to realize like, okay, that's just the way that a shadow has fallen or whatever. It's a trick of the light. It's not that I can't explain it. It's just that I also know that my brain is using that to give me information that's important, you know? Like this spirit is here. Yes, it's just a shadow, but your brain is interpreting it as a spirit because it's trying to tell you something.
Got you.
That's the lens thing again, you know?
Earlier on, you spoke about you were able to walk, or you had control of yourself in a dream.
Yeah.
Like in your dreams, you can
Often.
walk around and...
Yeah. I can build them back brick by brick. If I fall asleep and then wake up and I'm like, oh, that was good, I can go back to sleep and like reconstruct it.
That's like a skill.
Yeah. It takes a lot of people a long time to learn how to do this, and I'm not trying to brag, but I will. I was born just able to do this. But you can learn.
So I can learn?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might need to take that class, y'all.
Yeah, it's good. Because it's a really cool thing to be able to do. As a kid, I used it a lot to wake myself up from nightmares. Because if I was like in a dream and then I could tell it was starting to go south, something creepy was happening, I would just close my eyes in the dream and count back from 10 and then wake myself up.
Damn.
It's a good one.
I know you also had this actually just came to mind as you said that. You had a dream where you had passed away.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
Yeah. It was great.
Can you tell us about that? Yeah, explain why it was great.
So people will say that if you die in a dream, you die in real life. Like that's a big urban legend thing.
Like
right?
if you fall off a cliff or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure where that urban legend comes from. I think it's just like spooky folklore. Obviously not true because I believe I'm still here. This could all be a dream. I don't know.
You better be, because that means I'm tripping too.
You don't got to go to work tomorrow. This is a dream. Hell yeah. So I had this dream, and in the dream, it was like, it's a little violent. We're going to censor it for TikTok, but
let's put it out there.
Somebody shot me, and I died.
Okay.
And I remember being, hit by this bullet on an escalator in a mall. Like, weird. But anyway.
On an escalator?
Yeah, I was specifically on an escalator.
Somebody wanted you out of there.
Like, get out of here. And I died. And I remember dying. And it was like suddenly my consciousness was free from the confines of space and time. So, like, not only was I not in a body anymore, but, I wasn't anywhere. I was like particles. I was like everywhere. I was seeing every timeline. I was experiencing everything all at once. And I just had this amazing sense of like, oh, we're not supposed to be in a little like constrictive flesh vessel on a linear timeline. That's some bullshit. That's where suffering comes from. Actually, being dead's fucking awesome. And I woke up. It's not going to play well with the other shit we said earlier.
I'm understanding. I get it.
But I woke up and I had this amazing sense of like peace. I was like, oh, all right. And like, that's not to like downplay or denigrate the experience of like being incarnated in a body and alive. I love being alive. I have a cool life. Bad and hard things happen, but I'm always excited about what's coming next. But there was a real sense of like peace and liberation in like, oh, first of all, consciousness does exist beyond the flesh. I believe that very firmly. Everyone's going to have a different spiritual take on that. I don't know which one is correct, but I don't think that this is it. I've experienced differently. But aside from that, knowing that after like the physical pain of, sometimes dying is painful. After that, my experience in the dream was like, this is how it's supposed to be. We're going to go back to being atoms, particles, quarks, spirit, and it's going to be fucking sick. So
that's what you believe today?
I think so. I think that I don't know if consciousness exists beyond death in like a collected form. Like, I don't know if like when you die, are you going to be Askia and have all your Askia memories? I don't know. My guess is, best that I've experienced, not only in that weird dream, but in like meditations that I've done and reading I've done, I think that we return to some kind of like broader collective, and that maybe parts of us decide to reincarnate. And there could be parts of me now that were once a flower or the ocean or Joan of Arc. I don't know. Probably not Joan of Arc. I don't know why I said that, but maybe. A vampire. That's what I think. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool if there was also like a sick theme park afterlife where we just like got whatever we wanted. That sounds dope. I'm with the Christians on that one. That sounds cool. I don't know that that's what happens, but it would be nice.
I'm not even going to. I'm not even going to talk about that because there's so many contradictions with everything.
There is. I think this is the thing, right? Everybody has a different take on the afterlife, and every spiritual tradition has a different theory on how that all transpires. But I think one thing that pretty much everybody but the atheists believe is that there is something that persists. And you talk to people who've had, very intense trance meditations, or who have had near-death experiences, people who have licked toad venom, those guys, they're all talking about some continuation of consciousness. So you want some real magic, though, I do have a gift for you.
As long as it's not a toad or a jar of piss. As long as it's not one of those.
God damn it. How did he guess? So in British witchcraft, and also the witchcraft and the folklore of the British Isles and Ireland, there is a strong belief in fairies. And we believe that fairies are real, and they're not just like little dudes that fly around with tiny wings. They are beings, spirits that you can, but probably should not, connect with. There's a lot of folklore about don't step in a fairy ring, right? And don't like give gifts to the fairies, and don't accept gifts from the fairies. But I'm not, allegedly, one of those. So you can take this gift. It's okay.
All right.
Allegedly. This is a hagstone.
Okay, what does a hagstone do?
Okay, so a hagstone...
And thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate this.
He likes it. A hagstone is a stone that has naturally been formed with a perfect hole in the center.
It is a perfect hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously, like the ocean, a body of water erodes that. And if you look through a hagstone, you're supposed to be able to see fairies. Obviously, that would...
I'm going to be out here all night looking for fairies.
Obviously, that means there's got to be one around.
Celeste going to call me like, hey, what you up to? Just out here looking at fairies.
But there you go. So, and it's good to have with you because you never know when the fair folk are going to try and fuck with your shit. So...
Okay, hold on. Let's rewind, because how am I supposed to know that, or have an indication there's a fairy around?
Well, so maybe you're walking in the woods and you hear a mysterious singing, for example. Okay. Maybe you just get a cold shiver down your spine. Perhaps you've become lost in the forest or your backyard. Or maybe you're just feeling maybe you've been talking to some people on a message board. They've been saying, we're in your house. See anything?
Not yet.
Look at me for a second. Am I through
that's
there?
That's kind of scary. She might be a vampire.
I'm going to take my blackthorn twig out of here and bleed on it for a second. So
I appreciate that, though.
I have to tell you that it is not a bona fide Louisiana hagstone. We did get this on the shores of Lake Travis earlier today.
Today?
But, yeah, we were down there. We just like to look at nature. Yeah. And all we saw was a lot of dead fish.
Sorry to disappoint you.
I am sorry. And those. We got some hagstones. Yeah, we did also pick up fish bones. This is, you never go traveling with witches because they're going to be putting all sorts of shit in their pockets. It's a bad time. You don't know when you're going to need stuff. You got to have Ziploc bags with you to pick up ephemera. So we got some fish spine for later.
Later what?
When we need it.
Let me let me ask you this. You got a Airbnb
Yeah.
in Austin?
Yeah, like just outside of it. In the hills.
You doing witchcraft there?
No, we're being real careful with this Airbnb because the lady was very specific about like no candles burned inside the house. I will tell you that Airbnbs that have no such specification have been subject to witchcraft, yes.
Make sure y'all put that in y'all
put a clause in there.
Yeah, in y'all clause.
No witchcraft clause.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but it's a lovely Airbnb.
Yeah.
It's very magical. It doesn't need magic done in it because it's so inherently magical as it is.
Do you feel anything out here?
It definitely has a weird vibe. Not bad weird though, just like there's a watching kind of presence.
I've been out here when it's pitch black with no lights on.
What do you feel when you're out here?
Not danger.
And that's the thing about spirits is that, I go back to my childhood and when I was very afraid of ghosts and seeing anything spooky, which irony, because look at me now. I'm calling them to me. I'm like, where are you? Yeah. But most of the time, that's not going to be a threat, I mean, that's not to say that there aren't spirits that can be dangerous and that you probably shouldn't fuck with. But most of the time, they're just trying to also exist. Maybe they want to talk to you. Maybe they fucking don't. And they just are here. They don't always want to fuck with you either. But they're, it's an ecosystem. We live in a world that is far stranger and far more complicated than we can probably even conceive of with our tiny little human brains. And my mission on this planet is just to learn as much about that as I can because I think it's cool.
There you go, guys. I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, it's a good end.
It's a great end. I really appreciate you flying all the way from New Orleans, even though it wasn't that far. But
thank you for having us. We were, I'm excited to be here. I keep saying us like it's me and my spirit family. It might be.
It might be. But yeah, I'm super grateful that you took the time out to be here to tell us about everything that you've been through. Yeah, and anybody watching, I appreciate y'all as well. I think this is an amazing episode. Please continue to subscribe, to like the channel, and share it with your family, your friends, and anybody else that you may know. And yeah, stay tuned, stay horrible.